All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Kevin Crouch with Ellis County Weather, and although this is not currently impacting Ellis County in a way it could, and we'll get to that, I felt that this was too big a situation not to at least talk about. I've already heard that a lot of us here in Ellis County have family and friends in this area, and we may very well be dealing with some of those folks coming up here. I know that during Hurricane Katrina, there were folks that came up to this area during that storm, and this is definitely another storm that could very well affect our area, could very quickly affect us in terms of people coming through, family and friends needing help. We are in a good position to help those folks because we're right next door, but we're not really going to be seeing too terrible of impacts out of this storm, I think. So let's just jump right in. And what you see on the screen is the beast that is Ida. And if I put this into motion here, this storm is just looks incredible. And one of the things that is going to be really determinant upon how much impact we get in our area is already apparent. You see that on the east side of this storm, there's a lot of convection, and you can already see that right over here on the side. And on the other side, to the left, is you don't see as much. So on the west side of the storm, it's you can see it's wrapping around the storm. So on the west side, it's getting pulled much closer into the circulation. So it's much tighter, and it's not. You're not going to get the kind of very wide, very expansive precipitation and convection that you would on the west side. And you can see that from Tampa all the way down to the Everglades here, down to the Keys, they're already getting some of those outer bands, showers and thunderstorms. And you can see to the west here as well that the Texas coast, right here in the corner, is already getting some of this pushing out too. We've had clouds in our area today. Some of those could probably, it could be argued, may be from this storm. And you can kind of see, the Houston area, Beaumont, already seeing some of those outer bands, those far outer bands coming through. And, of course, there's Gulf moisture coming in to our area, not necessarily involved with this storm. And we'll show more of that here in just a moment. Well, let's talk about the storm as it is. I'm going to check and see what's the latest information from the National Hurricane Center. Obviously, this is changing very, very quickly. And let's take a look at what are the winds currently with this storm. I believe the last I checked, they were right around 100 miles per hour. And 100 is right around the middle of Category 2 strength. So it is a Category 2. I put a post earlier that said it was a Category 4. That was a mistake. It's forecast to be a Category 4, so that's kind of the difference here. We are at Category 2. Category 2 goes up to 110 miles per hour of sustained winds. That's not gusts, that's sustained. So gusts are going to be higher than that. And Category 3 starts at 111. So Category 3, we are on the march toward that point. And at this time, and you can see kind of the track here, Category 3 coming pretty quickly, going to be Category 3 by tonight, most likely. And then the forecast is that we will hit Category 4 by tomorrow morning, very quickly intensifying as it goes in and moves towards the coast of Louisiana. You can see the hurricane warnings here in pink, and those storm surge warnings in blue, and then off to the east here over towards Mississippi, Alabama. Got those tropical storm warnings, and then tropical storm watch for right around the Panama City area for the panhandle of Florida. And again, you see that it all stops pretty quickly on the west side of the storm. So no warnings or watches for any part of the Texas coast at this time. But we could very well see at least some precipitation out of this storm. But as I put this into motion again, you're going to see that this storm is going to stay, at least most of the impacts are going to stay right around the center of the storm and then off to the west. Let's take a kind of a better look at this storm, at some of the things that are going on. One of the things that was a big game changer today is a natural course for a storm of this kind. Let me actually get here and get a little bit of a closer view. But one of the things that happens with a storm naturally is we get the eye of the storm, right? We get the eye, and you have the eye wall where some of the strongest winds are. So let's take a look at this storm as it has developed through the day. And this won't be the full day, but this will kind of give an idea. So that's from sunrise on. And you can see that pretty quickly at that point, subsidence, which is that sinking air in the center of the storm, started developing that eye. And that is what we have been watching through the day. And that sinking air is characteristic of just very, very low pressure that is causing everything to wrap around that eye. And so it's become more and more apparent, as you can see on the visible satellite. And you see the light come up. We only see visible satellite when the sun is up. So this is from sun up to currently, and you can already see it starting to dim a little bit because the sun is it's in the afternoon, the late afternoon, and the sun's approaching that horizon. So let's take another look at this, and this is really when we start getting into much more detailed views of this storm. Let's get to the G16, the mesoscale, and here you're actually going to be able to see much more detail in terms of the eye wall deepening and some of the convection. It takes a second to load all those images because we're going to see quite a few. So you can see a lot more detail here. Just look at the way that this eye, and you can see all of this convection, especially off to the west here in those bands. But right around the center, you can see that eye become much more organized and just much more apparent, especially right here. Then you can see, just watch real closely here. Watch this convection as it just wraps right on around. See this here? Look at that. It's just tracking right around that eye, and that circulation is just tightening so strongly. And that's going to be really apparent when we turn on this view. Now we're going to do quite a bit with this, so saddle up and get ready for what is coming. This will show some more of the, let's actually get that, I think we're going to have to go down to 50 here to get that. Okay, so it's a little easier to see the contrast here of the eye, and it's a little bit digitized, but that's okay. And there you can see all this convection here. And what's really going to make the difference, and I want to actually try to go back to 100 frames if I can, because that's going to make it easier to show you how it doesn't just matter that an eye is there, it matters that it's organized. So as you can see here, the eye is kind of rugged, but what's going to happen, and what really shows the strength of an eye, is when you get some of these reds and the whites that completely surround the eye, and it's a consistent and well-structured eye. That's what's happening right now, and that's really going to make a big difference in terms of the strength of this storm. Let's put it up to 200, and it's going to take a second for it to load all of those images, so just hang tight here. Going to take just a second to get all that across. So here you can see how it's kind of that north section, and then here it closes in, right? So right there, that's where the rest of the convection starts to close that eye in, and then it kind of starts to collapse a little bit, and then right here it starts to kind of open up again. So the ebb and flow that you see for this storm this is all natural, but it's in the scale of things, it's happening very quickly. That's why so many folks are concerned about the timing of this storm and the intensity that we have seen associated with it. Now let's actually go, let's do the 3D view here. And for one thing, here is the eye of the storm. Let's just get real intimate in here. And this is the eye of the storm. And as you can see, there is the slightest bit of cloud cover possible. It's hard to really tell. let's get back into this full screen here. So this is the eye of the storm, and this is a 3D view. Okay, so we're above the storm looking into the eye, and as you can see, there is a pretty solid line, a solid wall here. This is the eye wall that you're actually looking at. So when I, this is some of that very strong, this is the kind of the contrast here. This is very, very strong convection here, and convection is thunderstorm development. And then you get into the eye, and it just drops out. It just drops, sinks in, and this is the area where once the eye is much more defined, and it will become better defined over time. There was a remark, I think, on the page that it's not as well defined as Katrina was, and we'll talk about the comparison with Katrina in just a moment. But what you're looking at is you're looking into the eye, and it will become more defined. We'll actually go here. You can see, and you can see that it kind of ebbs and flows. And again, here's some of that development that goes in, and then as you can see, it's not as stable, and it's kind of getting pulled around with some of this convection as well. But as it goes, again, you're going to see that it kind of starts to. In fact, let's reduce the frame count there just to kind of keep it where we're at. Okay, so this alone, this will show you a lot in terms of, so you can see that it is broadening. You see that dark in the center, it is broadening and it's getting deeper. So this is the eye as it's stabilizing, and as the eye wall behind it is stabilizing as well. And you can see how tight the gradient is between very strong convection here, very strong convection even just around it, and then it goes down to the yellow, the green, the blue, and then nothing. So there is no precipitation in this area, or at least no convection in this tiny area. That is the eye wall. That is where nothing is happening. And if we take a broader look at this storm, just look at the power of this incredible storm. Let's up the frame rate a little bit, the number of frames rather. Look at the incredible power of this storm. This does a much better job than the visible view, just looking at the storm as you would see it from space, of showing the convection associated with it. And this again shows the contrast between the western side of the storm, the eastern side of the storm here in the Florida area, over to the then eastern side where there is a lot less convection out from the storm. So that shows why there's such a minimal effect expected on Texas. And here's the really fun part as we pull this upward. Get back to that full screen view here. This will show, this really does a good job of showing how that eye is staying put, but all this convection around it, you can see it bubbling up. So this is simulating the convection in the cloud tops, and you can see how it's that eye where there's just nothing happening is staying pretty stable. So this is what will continue to become more of what we are used to in terms of seeing how stable an eye, and just that when you're looking at the satellite view, you just see the clear blue water right through the heart of that storm. So I'm sure by tonight and tomorrow morning, this is going to be a much more stereotypically looking storm. But as we look at it here, get a good angle on that, is you can just see the power and the influence of this storm that is pretty much just taken over the eastern Gulf of Mexico at this point, pushing again all this convection right onto the coast of Florida. So let's kind of get back to a regular view here. Something else I want to show you too is how some of the other systems in the around the country really have impacted this storm. So let's take a look at kind of the overall wind flow here, and you're going to see two things happening here. Here, of course, is Hurricane Ida. This is all the winds, right? This is wind directions and wind speed as well. The water where this storm is developing is very, very warm, and so, I mean, we're talking temperatures of the water from 80 to 90 degrees in some places, okay? So very, very warm water, and that is just the perfect environment for a hurricane like this to strengthen. And even there, you can see the eye where the wind speeds are they just drop it. Everything is surrounding that. But you see the ring where the wind speeds are more intense right around it, and then there just drops off. So even more apparent there. So as far as the track of this storm, something that was interesting about this was you see this clockwise flow here. This is a high pressure system. And as you can see where the storm was, the flow is hitting to the east and to the west and the northwest. This high pressure system was over Georgia and South Carolina area, parts of Tennessee, and it was questionable whether this flow going this direction was going to impact the hurricane and actually push it more to the west towards Texas. But the storm has strengthened enough that it is resisting that flow and pretty much doing what it wants to do. But the high pressure system is still kind of influencing it in the way that it's pushing these westerly winds and these northwesterly winds, and you can see that it's pushing western winds across, pushing winds going towards the west from the east into Texas. And what this is helping to do is to push some of this energy out from the hurricane. Okay, so what you're doing is you've got flow here, and the flow is going from east to west, all the way from the Atlantic all the way across the storm and out. This is helping to push some of this energy outward. And what that does is that sometimes these hurricanes, it's kind of ironic to hear, but sometimes these hurricanes can choke on their own energy. And when they can't push that energy out, it prevents new energy from being created. Well, this high pressure system has kind of helped to carry some of that energy outward, especially this morning when the flow was still kind of moving to back to the north on kind of the western side of this high. It was pushing some of this energy out, so that was allowing the energy to go out and new energy to be developed. That's why this hurricane was so strong and so fast to develop here. It would continue to grow outward. So that allowed, it was that combined with the very warm water made a perfect environment for this hurricane to continue to intensify. So just an absolutely incredible situation and incredible stuff coming from this storm. There are crews that are headed out to the Gulf right now. They are preparing, and at least not maybe to the Gulf right now, everybody's trying to get out, but at least to the surrounding areas to help with relief there, because I mentioned some comparison to Katrina. One of the things that I'm most concerned about is New Orleans, and I don't think that New Orleans is going to get a direct hit. If we go back over to Radar Omega here, you can see the track as it's supposed to go. Category 3 here by tonight, and then you continue. Category 4, now Katrina was a Category 3. And what made the difference in New Orleans was that the infrastructure there and just the way the city is set up is very conducive to flooding when that area and when the levees and the natural defenses of that area are overwhelmed. And it only took a Category 3 hurricane to do that. Well, this storm is going to move up, and as you can see, New Orleans is going to be right on the eastern side, the eastern corridor of this eye, and this track has been kind of inching eastward this whole time. So it's going to continue to move that way, and it could continue to just inch eastward ever so slightly overnight. This storm could make a direct hit in New Orleans, and if a Category 3 could do that, just imagine what a Category 4 could do when it makes landfall. So we talk about this issue with flooding, and I want to get your attention to one more thing. We're actually going to, let's see, let me transition over to the browser here. So we'll talk about Katrina and Texas in kind of the same breath here. So this is the forecasted rain for this area. And let's take a look at New Orleans first. That you're seeing Lake Charles, New Orleans area getting some of the most intense rain, definitely some of the most intense storm surge coming out of the storm as it pushes into Louisiana. And southern Mississippi, southern Alabama really need to be watching this as well. And you can see, of course, this follows a track, which is kind of usual with the storm coming up into Mississippi, going up into Tennessee and Kentucky. There's been flooding issues there as well. It's already been raining in New Orleans today, so they're already getting saturated. So this is just not going to help, like, at all, for that area to get even more rain. The other thing you're going to notice is Texas, almost completely untouched from this whole storm. Not a whole lot going to happen in terms, at least, of direct impact from the storm. But what I will say is that for Sunday, this afternoon, we have a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms as some of that tropical moisture gets pushed into our area off of the storm. Really looking at, again, the 20% chance of a few showers and thunderstorms, not anything really beyond what we've already seen for this area, not anything, too far out of the norm, and we'll go to local radar here in a moment. But for Sunday, we do have a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, again, mostly in the afternoon, and we could be, it looks like we're going to see light east winds in the morning, and then east-northeast winds, 5 to 10 miles per hour, and then mostly in the morning and probably in the afternoon, I would imagine as well. 5 to 10 mile per hour winds out of the east. So, we'll be on kind of where the circulation is. We'll be on that kind of that northwestern corridor. So those easterly winds out of the east going to the west will be what we'll be expecting here. But not a lot of rain expected for our area. Certainly nothing compared to New Orleans. Now let's go back to the satellite view here, because just in the last few minutes, this eye is very, very quickly becoming more easily defined. So let's go back, and here, just in the last few minutes, look at this. This eye is becoming much better defined. Much better defined. Even in just the time that we've been talking, this eye is really stabilizing. So that's how quickly the storm is intensifying. That's why I am so concerned for the area, the New Orleans area. And as you can see here, here's the forecasted track. Here's the storm. It's already pushing further and further to the east, making it a higher possibility that New Orleans will get a direct hit from this storm. So if you are in the New Orleans area, if you are in southern Louisiana, especially southeastern Louisiana, you have got to leave. And I know that there are a million reasons why people do not want to leave, and I completely get it. I'm sure if all my belongings and everything were dependent upon me being there, and I would have a hard time too. But property can be replaced, lives cannot. So take it very, very seriously when local officials and weather experts and everyone are telling you to get out. This is an extraordinary situation. We're looking at a Category 4 that could very easily become a Category 5. We could be looking at the very top in terms of the Saffir-Simpson wind scale. Again, Category 3 is starts at 111 miles per hour in terms of sustained winds. And again, I'm not seeing what the latest wind, what the latest information is in terms of surface winds for this storm. Let me see if I can maybe get that somehow. Okay, yeah, so the latest wind speeds, the maximum sustained winds, still at 100 miles per hour per what the National Hurricane Center knows. I'm sure they will be, the hurricane hunters in those planes will be going through again to get more readings on that. Sometimes it depends on them to let us know what those wind speeds are looking like. But we are definitely looking at an incredible storm. And we need to be taking this whole thing very, very seriously. And again, if you have family and friends in that area, be taking this very, very seriously. This storm is not playing around. And again, I'm just going to keep this on the screen because you see this eye becoming so much better defined than it really has been all day long. And with the daytime heating comes the heating of the waters, and I'm sure this storm is just feeding off it. right now. So let's take a look. Let's I can't get enough of this view, just how powerful, how huge this storm is. But let's take a look at our own area here, and kind of talk about storm chances in our own area. So right back home where it is so relatively docile. A few showers and thunderstorms to our south, and you can see those really beginning to develop. And again, you can see that that's that easterly flow here. Let's reduce I got that on 50 frames. We don't need to see the life story of the radar here. You can see these are coming out of the east, so it's consistent with the flow even in our area, becoming more consistent with our location relative to the hurricane. And so yes, and Joseph, I'm not really sure how fast it should move on land. I haven't really looked at the projected movement quite yet. So I'm not completely sure of the answer yet to that question. I'll see if I can find that out. But this is what's going on at home right now. You can see to the west some more scattered showers and thunderstorms, and to our east as well. Not a whole lot going on right here at home. As you can see in Navarro County, there's a few showers and thunderstorms that are kind of bubbling up and down. That's pretty much the most of what we're going to see. Again, when the sun goes down, most of this, if not all of it, will kind of die away. So not a whole lot will be going on in our area. Again, for tomorrow, we're looking at about a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, highs right around 90 degrees. And we're going to look at that today and tomorrow. So highs in the 90s will return this week. Low 90s Monday, mid 90s, and probably upper 90s, unfortunately, dropping into the mid to low 90s by Friday, so maybe a little bit of break coming in. But we may still see a few showers and storms out of the system. Now, in terms of severe weather, when it comes to, we all know that hurricanes sometimes produce severe weather, and a lot of the times these tropical environments can produce unpredictable weather. We're not really expecting a whole lot in terms of severe weather. If I look at the what the Storm Prediction Center is saying, I really don't even think that we're going to be involved in any kind of categorical risk over the next couple of days. No, there's no categorical severe weather risk for our area. Most likely just going to be these pop-up showers and thunderstorms that come in as this plentiful Gulf moisture pushes through on the outer outskirts of Hurricane Ida, but not expecting a whole lot in terms of severe weather or anything really for us to be concerned about. We need to be focusing our efforts on supporting those in the New Orleans area. So that's about all that I have at this moment. We'll go back one last view on satellite of this hurricane, and I'll kind of leave you with that. And there's the 3D view. That's the 3D view of the visible view there. And let's kind of let that load here for a second. And again, you can just see how powerful this storm is. Just a monster. Let's get back over to, let's see here. Okay. So yes, that eye again just staying pretty stable at this point, staying right in the center, and we'll continue to see that intensify, and I'm sure they'll update the track very, very soon because it's moving further to the east, which is terrible news for the folks in New Orleans. So I will be bringing more updates on all of this in the next few hours, and I'm sure that we will cover landfall live here on Ellis County Weather, and I'll bring more updates on what this is going to do for our area as well. So I'm sure we'll be covering that all through the day tomorrow. So stay tuned. Reach out to family and friends in the New Orleans area, in southern Louisiana. And please encourage them and beg them to get out. Offer space to them if you can. This is another time for us to reach out and help those folks that are going to be just lambasted by this storm as it continues to intensify. Again, remember, Category 3 coming pretty soon. Category 4 probably by I think tomorrow morning sometime we will probably hit Category 4. We could hit Category 5. It's not out of the question as Hurricane Ida continues to strengthen in the Gulf of Mexico. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for more.